Hello and welcome to the episode of the Bubbs on Sports podcast. Today is Friday, December 23rd. Hope everybody's having a good day so far and had a good rest of their day yesterday. It is in fact Friday, December 23rd here today. Coming off of a brutal performance last night from the New York Jets as they fall to the Jacksonville Jaguars, 19-3 on Thursday Night Football. An embarrassing performance, a pathetic performance on so many levels. We'll get into it. Was hoping for an early Christmas present from the New York Jets. That was not the case. They instead gave us a big lump of coal as they go out and have a flat-out atrocious performance at home, prime time, must-win game, and they come out and just lay a dud. So a really tough loss yesterday for the New York Jets. We'll get into it. Their season is basically over. So we'll talk about the game yesterday. We'll also get into a little bit of, we'll get to the game obviously yesterday. We'll also get into kind of where do they go from here. Zach Wilson's not it. Zach Wilson gets benched yesterday. He stinks. He's not it. His career here is done. He has played his last game, I think, as a New York Jet, and I think most people would agree with me. So we'll get into the Jets. We'll get into the game yesterday. We'll kind of try to rehash the debacle that was the 19-3 loss. We'll get to, what they do in the offseason, kind of how do they pivot, coaching. What do the Jets do from here? This was a collapse. You were 6-3. You were not only fighting for a playoff spot, but you had a realistic shot at the division, and you lose 4 straight, and you're now 7-8. You lose 5 of your last 6. You lose 4 straight, and now you're 7-8, and you're looking at yourself as a non-playoff team for the 12th year in a row. Something has to change with this Jet organization. We'll get into it to start things off today. So we'll get to that. We'll get to the NFL game picks, a full weekend, get you ready. Christmas time. Christmas is in 2 days. Looking forward to that. Obviously, it's the season of giving. It's the holiday season. Looking, exciting times and a lot of good football on over the weekend as well. So, with all that being said, this is the Bubbs on Sports podcast, and let's get into it. So, last night, the Jets lose 19-3. As I mentioned, they fall to 7-8 on the season. Jaguars improved to 7-8 on the season, and the Jets' playoff hopes are now gone. Look, I'll start off by saying this. I don't even want to hear anybody. I don't want to hear, I'm not trying to be way negative, but I know there's some people out there that say, they still have a chance at the playoffs. No, their season's over. They're not making the playoffs. Mathematically, I know they're not eliminated yet, but their season's over. They're not making the playoffs. Who even knows if they win these final 2 games? They got a tough one in Seattle, and they got a tough one in Miami. And Miami very easily could still be playing for something in that game, whether it's a playoff spot, whether it's, seeding, home field, however it is. They could be playing for something. So, It's rough. It's rough. Last night was awful. So you go into last night's game, obviously, and you're all pumped up. You're all hyped up. You're getting ready, like a must-win game. We were hyped up. Even with the loss on, Sunday, you go into the game last night, meaningful football game, meaningful prime-time game at home in December. This is what we wanted as Jet fans at the beginning of the year, and we were getting that last night. And man, oh man, what a pathetic performance from the New York Jets. It started well with the Quinnen Williams. The one positive yesterday from the New York Jets was on the 3rd play of the game, and that was it. That was it. 3rd play of the game, strip sack Trevor Lawrence, and everything went downhill after that because then the offense had a 3-and-out. They kicked the field goal, and that was it. That was it. The Jets scored 3 points last night in a win or your season's over type game. Playoffs, or you win and you're in, you win and your playoff hopes are alive, or you lose and your playoff hopes are dead, and the Jets go out there and just lay an egg at home with it's raining, it's cold, Florida team, and the Jets get just out coached. They get outsmarted. They get pushed around. They got bullied in their own stadium for 60 full minutes of football. That's pathetic. And the Jets season will now end. Obviously, there's still 2 games left. I understand that. But the Jets season will now end with losing the majority of your final games. You're not going to make the playoffs. When just about 5 weeks ago, we were talking about the possibility when they beat Buffalo and we were walking out, I was walking out of MetLife Stadium 6-3, and you're thinking to yourself, this team is on fire. 6-3, division's wide open. You go into the bye week and you're feeling like, all right, here we go. And ever since the bye week, they're 1-5 since the bye week. 1-5 since the bye week. 6-3 the first 9 games, 1-5 the last 6. Pathetic. That's really all I could say. So, season's done. To get into the game last night, Zach Wilson was awful. Okay, he gets benched for Chris Streveler. I know Saleh said in his press conference, about, we were trying to get, an energy. It wasn't so much about benching Zach. It was more of trying to get the run game going. Look, Saleh's not going to say, yeah, we bench Zach. He's going to try to everything he can to work around it. Look, they benched Zach Wilson, the number 2 overall pick from the 2021 NFL Draft. We went into last night's game saying, you know what? This is a big opportunity for Zach Wilson. You're going up against Trevor Lawrence. You have an opportunity to go out there and play well and kind of not prove, but go out there on prime time, national television, and be like, you know what? Let me go up against number 1 overall pick, right? The Jets missed out on Trevor Lawrence because they blew the tank in 2020, right? And it's like, all right, this is an opportunity for Zach to go out there prime time, show that he deserves to get drafted number 2 overall, and show that he can play with Trevor and show that he can compete against him. And he did the exact opposite of that. I think he actually did worse than I expected. Worse. I mean, he went out there, he went 9 of 18 for 92 yards. He had a pick, he got sacked 3 times, and he had a QBR of 5.2. That's pathetic. So he's done. And we went into this year with Zach Wilson. I guess if you want to pick a positive out of this, it's mainly negative. 60 minutes of poor football. There are, I guess, many things you could take away of. We went into the beginning of this season, and obviously the goal was play meaningful games in December, all that stuff. But the expectations change. To me, this year's a failure. In my opinion, this season's a failure because you were 6-3. Even more, you were 7-4. Like, you beat the Chicago Bears, you were 7-4. You had 3 plays from the 1-yard line against the Vikings. Against New England, you kept Zach Wilson out there, and they lose on a punt return. The way the Jets lost these games, the way the Jets threw away this season, to me, is just embarrassing. And to me, I don't look at this year and say, this year was a successful season. We won 7 games. You're playing meaningful games. No. Expectations got to change. When you're 6-3, playoffs have got to be the expectation. And to fall off like this and to lose games like this it's just same old Jets. And as I mentioned earlier, 12th straight year now, we're going to have January and February off. That's embarrassing, and that's got to change. And next season, Woody Johnson has got to. Maybe he won't portray it to the media, but he's got to pull Saleh and Douglas and this coaching staff into a room and say, look, playoffs are bust. If you don't make the playoffs this year, all of you guys are out of here. I don't care how young and talented the roster might look. I don't care how maybe much you're respected around the league. I don't care how much praise you're getting from the media. The bottom line, they'll get a pass for this year because Zach Wilson stinks. But the bottom line is next year the New York Jets have to make the playoffs. If we're sitting here next year in December, and we're talking about the Jets either collapsing or the Jets not making the playoffs or the Jets just having an atrocious season, Saleh and Douglas are out. They're out. That's the bottom line. So that's where we stand. But back to my point with Zach Wilson, I know I kind of went off, the road there a little bit, went off track a little bit. Back to my point with Zach, we went into the season and we said we want to know 2 things. Right? Last year they went 4-13. It was the honeymoon phase. We knew Saleh was coming back. We knew Zach was coming back. We all knew that. It was the first year, right? A terrible defense. It's not much talent. We all knew that, right? So last season, you go into the offseason, you're like, all right, your coach, your quarterback, go into this year, we have to know we have to come out of this season knowing if we got our quarterback and if we have our coach. And you feel okay about the coach. I have things I like about Saleh, and I have things I don't like about Saleh. I'll get into that. I could get into that more, another day. Or, I'm planning on recording an In the Trench with Gang Green podcast today. More so getting into the offseason options. Obviously I did my game recap there yesterday, recapping more of the game now. But you feel like you kind of know who you have in your head coach, right? You do. Or you do to a certain extent. There's certain things that, again, I like certain things about Saleh. There's certain things I dislike. Are there probably better options out there? Maybe a guy like a Sean Payton? Yeah. Do I see the Jets going out there and getting Sean Payton? Heck no. No, I do not. I don't see Woody Johnson going out there and getting Sean Payton. I also think that this locker room, for the most part, respects him. But the way they got out-coached last night, the way they lost 4 straight, the way this season collapsed, you do get that little bit of a concern of, do they still believe in Zach? Or do they still, do these players still believe in Zach? If you follow what I'm saying, right? Like, do these players still believe in Saleh, rather? Not Zach. The players don't believe in Zach. But do these players still believe in Saleh? Because it's like, there's that certain extent of, as much as the beginning of the part of the year was great, to lose your final 4 straight games, to lose 5 of your last 6, to come out of the bye week and go 1-5, it's like, you wonder if this locker room loses a little faith in Saleh, like, in a way of, we were 6-3 and now we're here? Are you really, the guy? That's the question I have. And that's the question that you go into the offseason with. Do I see Saleh getting fired? Heck no. No, Saleh's coming back. And I think he deserves to come back. But again, next year, it's going to make or break season. And again, it's not a positive, but at least you have your answer. Zach Wilson's not the quarterback. He's not it. He stinks, okay? Zach Wilson's awful. Some of the throws he made last night, some of his decision-making. There was a play early in the game where there was a blitzing safety. He couldn't read it. He couldn't make the adjustment prior to the play. He wasn't even looking at him. He was so focused on his first read, which he panics when his first read's not there. There was that one throw to Garrett Wilson where it was awful. He made some really bad throws. He had that one play to Garrett Wilson, again, deep, where he underthrew him. One play to Corey Davis where Corey Davis had to play defense and bat the ball down. Zach Wilson's not it. So now you go into the offseason and you think to yourself, all right, what are they doing at quarterback? And that's a big question. So before I get to that, I'll get to that in a second. I want to go over to the defense really quickly. Defense last night was awful. Okay, I know they only scored 19 points. I guess if you want to get glass half full, it's been a pretty negative podcast. I guess if you want to get glass half full type of response, the Jets defense did not play well last night, and they only allowed 19 points. So that's Jets. It's hard to win a game when you score 3 points. The offense, the defense was getting pushed around, missed tackles, couldn't stop the run. They were getting pushed around, so it was embarrassing. But that was probably one of their worst performances last night, and they only allowed 19 points. So you got to feel like, okay, it's not like they allowed 40, not like the Jaguars scored, 6 touchdowns, and Trevor Lawrence threw for 430 yards and had 4 touchdowns, and they scored 42 points, and we lost 42-3. The defense, they didn't keep us in the game. They definitely, but it's hard to win when you score 3 points. Quinnen was the only highlight. That was the only highlight of yesterday. The only highlight. And maybe a couple of Streveler's runs were nice. But other than that, that was it. And Streveler missed Uzama. He caught it, but that was a terrible throw. If that's a better throw, that's a touchdown. So that's just terrible. Yeah, so Streveler, obviously, as I mentioned, he had one of the other highlights. You go to again, with the defense, wasn't good enough. And, I think for the most part, the defense, it'll be interesting to see what they do with edge and stuff. I know you got Jermaine Johnson, got Clemens, but the defense last night wasn't good enough, especially on third down, especially rushing. Next year in the offseason, they got to get a big thumper. We thought it was Jordan Whitehead. He's not good. He's not good. Very bad in coverage, misses a lot of tackles, goes for the big hit, just really bad. They got to get a big thumper. Somebody that can consistently make tackles. Somebody like that. A linebacker, whoever it is, a safety. Somebody that, Whitehead just not having a good year. Maybe it's just a bad year for him, but he has been really underwhelming for the player that we thought we were getting. And then, so now we go back to the quarterback. Run game couldn't get going either last night. Zonovan Knight had -2 yards. He had 6 carries. So to go back to the game, but to go back to the quarterback spot, as we wrap things up here. Look, you go into the offseason where Zach Wilson's played his final game as a Jet. Do they bring him back? I don't know. I mean, you gotta. I mean, if you bring him in, he's gotta earn a spot. Maybe you bring back Zach, bring back Mike White, and then bring in a guy like a Jimmy G and have three of them compete for the job. The thing is like Zach Wilson's not gonna win the job. You can't tell me Zach Wilson is gonna win the job. We've seen this before. Zach Wilson's got to go. So I think if you can find a trade partner for him, that would be ideal. If not, you go into quarterback competition, and if he doesn't win it, then you put him as either backup or you put him as third string. That's it. That's really about it. Some of the options you could do at quarterback, whether it's a Jimmy G, Derek Carr. I don't see the Jets going after Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers. I don't want Brady. I can't stand Brady. I don't think he's very good this year. I think he's hit the tail end of his career. And nor do I think Tom Brady's even going to want to come to the Jets. He's not going to want to come here. He hates New York. He hates the Jets. He hates the cold weather. He's not going to come here. Let's just be honest. Rodgers, I think there's a more likely chance of Rodgers. But Rodgers, too. He's another guy. This is a young locker room. We're trying to change the culture. I just don't know if he's a fit. He wants to do things his own way. He wants to, be the lead. He doesn't take any accountability, blames it on his teammates. He separates locker rooms, and I don't like that. My two most, I think, likely and favorite options would be Jimmy G and Derek Carr. I know some people want Lamar Jackson. I don't think that's realistic. Lamar Jackson's out of this world. If we get Lamar Jackson, that would be great. Don't get me wrong, but it's out of its world crazy. I just don't think the Jets are going to do that. Joe Douglas doesn't go out and spend big. He just doesn't. He hasn't done it. He's not that type of GM. He's not going to go out there and throw the bank at a player. He's just not. So it's going to be team-friendly deals too, where you can get an opt-out after a year or two. Lamar Jackson's going to want as much money as he can get. So I just don't see them being a fit in terms of contract-wise. The most realistic is Jimmy G and Derek Carr. I think Jimmy G's the most realistic. I'll tell you why. He's a system fit. He played with the Niners. Mike LaFleur, knows him. The scheme fit, all that stuff. Saleh, they all know each other. They were all in San Francisco together. You've seen the Jets bring over players from San Francisco, players that have played with Saleh. So you bring him in. He's also probably the most likely to go somewhere. He's a free agent. And when you look at the Niners quarterback room, it's like, okay, California team, number one, could Brady be an option there? You have Brock Purdy. Trey Lance is coming back. They have so many quarterback options. I see them letting Jimmy G walk. So he's an option there, and a very good option. But I'll tell you this, too, one more thing about the offense. He'll get a pass because Zach Wilson stinks. But to a certain extent, I don't think it's completely outrageous to sit here and say that, Zach Wilson can, I don't think it's completely outrageous to sit here and say that Mike LaFleur should lose his job this year in the offseason. I don't think that's crazy to say. I'm not saying they got to go fire him, but there should at least be some consideration if call up Frank Wright. If he's available, bring him in. Bring him in. If there's another guy that maybe gets a surprise firing or somebody that gets let go or something like that that's available, bring somebody else in. I have not liked what I've seen out of Mike LaFleur. Again, he's going to get a pass because Zach Wilson's not good. We've also seen some other quarterbacks operate the offense well, but there's a lot of questionable play calling, a lot of it, and it's hurt us in games, and especially last night. There was a couple times last night where I can go back and question the play calling, and I feel like that's the case every week, and that's not good. So, to be honest, the only position that I think is safe this offseason for the Jets is Saleh and Ulbrich out of the coordinators. Out of the two major, obviously, offense and defense coordinators, Saleh and Ulbrich. And then LaFleur, I don't think should be safe. I don't. Now, I'm not saying if you bring him back, that's bad. But I'm just saying that there should at least be some looking over for upgrades. And if you see somebody, call up Frank Wright. See, even if you bring him in as maybe an assistant and, try to help LaFleur. LaFleur is sometimes he's not good enough. He's not good enough right now. So I think there's Definitely, there's something there. I don't think LaFleur's job should be completely safe either. I don't. So we'll see. Obviously, there's 2 games left. I hate doing this. It's already mock draft season. I hate talking about mock drafts. I hate talking about the the off season and next year. When you still have 2 games left, but it's where we stand. It's where we stand with the New York Jets, and it's where we stand everywhere, every year. And the bottom line is this. I'll finish it off with this. The Jets enter another offseason looking into fog with the quarterback, or the quarterback abyss, where they don't know their option. You have more questions than answers, and you go into an offseason where Saleh, Douglas have got to put their foot to the pedal, and they've got to make moves. This team's a playoff roster that's missing a quarterback, and next year you have to make the playoffs. If not, Saleh and Douglas is out. They're out. That's the bottom line. That's it. If you go 7-10 next year, if you go 8-9, I don't care if you're playing meaningful games in December. You got to make the playoffs. I don't care if you miss the playoffs. If you miss the playoffs at 10-7, they got to be gone. You got to make the playoffs next season. Enough of this garbage every year. 12 straight seasons, and the collapse, this year's collapse, terrible. So that's the bottom line. That's really what it boils down to. And it'll be interesting to see who the Jets roll out there for the final 2 games. I don't think you see Zach out there. Even if Mike White's cleared, you wonder if he plays because he's going to a contract year 2. Does he want to go out there and risk a further injury? Strevler can't throw. Do you go with Flacco the final 2 games because they mean nothing? It'll be interesting. Just very, very, very frustrating on this Friday before Christmas, and another year where you go into the offseason. It's just 2 things the Jets haven't been able to get right. Head coach and quarterback. Again, coach, you like some things about him. There's other things that worry you. Quarterback stinks. That's where we stand. I had one more thought, but I forgot it, so we're going to move on here because I could rant about this all day long. I really could. That's why I'm doing 2 podcasts. I'll record another one here in a little bit on looking on my In the Trench with Gang Green podcast. I'll be looking more into off-season options and more of like a therapy session there. But yeah, so that's where we stand with the New York Jets. We got to move on though, because I will continue to talk about this. We got to move on. So we'll get to the Jets. We'll get to the rest of the NFL here. We'll go through the games here, get you my picks. I'll go relatively quickly here. So let's get into it. So the first game, Bengals-Patriots, tomorrow, 1 Eastern, CBS. Bengals 3-point favorites, Patriots, the underdogs at home. Over-under set at 41.5. Bengals 10-4, Patriots 7-7. I'm going to take Cincinnati here. I'm going to take Cincinnati. I'm going to take them big time. Give me the Bengals, 27-13. Bengals win. I'll take the under on the over-under of 41.5. Bengals win and cover on the road. Next up, we got the Bills and the Bears. This game's going to be freezing. I think it's going to be like -8. But the funny thing is, both teams are fully prone to this weather. Buffalo and Chicago, no strangers to this weather, obviously. Bills 11-3. Bears the opposite at 3-11. Bills 8-point favorite. Over/under set at 40.5. 1 Eastern on CBS. If you're a Jet fan and Justin Fields plays well in this game, that's definitely going to hurt. He was obviously an option with the number 2 overall pick, but we decided to go with Zach Wilson. I'm going to take the Bills here. I like what the Bears are doing in terms of Fields, the way they're using him, but the Bills are rolling. They're just too good. I think it's going to be an interesting game with how cold it is, but I think both teams will fare fine. Give me Buffalo on the road. 27-20. I don't think they cover. I think the Bears make this a game. Bills win 27-20. Don't cover, but win. I'll take the over on the over-under 40.5. Bills get the win, but don't cover. Next up, we got the Ravens and the Falcons. Ravens 6.5-point favorites. Over/under set at 35. Ravens 9-5. Falcons 5-9. Tomorrow, 1 Eastern on Fox. Give me Baltimore, Atlanta. Just Baltimore's more talented. Atlanta, a team that, starting Ritter, young quarterback on the road in Baltimore. Big game for the Ravens in terms of, trying to keep their AFC North chances alive. Big opportunity there for them to bounce back. Lamar will be out again, but you still, look at it and you say, he'll be out again, so they'll have to go back up, but I still like their chances here at home. Give me Baltimore 20-13. They cover the 6.5. I'll take the under on the over-under 35. Baltimore gets the win at home. Next up, we got the Lions and the Panthers. Lions come into this game 7-7. Panthers come into this game 5-9. Lions, 2.5-point favorites. The over-under set at 43 tomorrow, 1 Eastern on Fox. Give me Detroit. I'm taking the Lions here. I know as much as Carolina, some people want to pick them and want to see Sam Darnold go out there and play well. But I'm going to take Detroit. They're on fire. They're on fire. We saw it last week with our own eyes, us as Jet fans. They're on fire. They're rolling. They very possibly could be an NFC playoff team. Big opportunity for them on the road. Give me Detroit, 27-17. I'll take Detroit by a decent margin, 27-17. Detroit wins. I'll take the over on the over-under 43, and I'll take the Lions covering the 2.5. Tomorrow, 1 Eastern CBS, you got the Browns and the Saints. Browns 3-point favorites. Saints, the underdogs on the road. Over-under set at 32. Saints 5-9. Browns 6-8. I will take Deshaun Watson and the Cleveland Browns. They're definitely a little bit more competitive. Saints are a mess. Give me Cleveland at home. 24-13, Browns win. I'll take the over on the over-under 32. Browns get the win and cover the 3. Next up, 1 Eastern on Fox, got the Chiefs and the Seahawks. Chiefs 11-3, Seahawks 7-7. Chiefs a big 10-point favorite at home. Over-under set at 49.5. Seahawks have not looked good the past couple weeks. They're definitely reeling. Chiefs are hot. They're rolling. They're getting better. They got Patrick Mahomes. They got Andy Reid. They're just more talented. I think they'll take advantage of the weak Seattle defense. They're at home. I think this is going to be a rough one for Seattle, and they're really struggling. So give me the Chiefs here at home. 31-17, Chiefs win. I'll take the under on the over-under 49.5. Chiefs win and cover the 10. 1 Eastern CBS, the final 1 o'clock game here before we get to the 4 o'clocks. You got the Titans and the Texans. Titans 7-7. Texans 1-12-1. Titans 3-point favorite. The over/under set at 35.5. As much as I want to take the Texans because they've been a lot more competitive, they've been playing a lot better, they've been covering the spreads. I want to take the Texans. I feel like they're gonna win, but for some reason, I still feel like I should take the Titans. I don't know why. It's because they're at home. Tannehill's out. So you're going to have Malik Willis. You're going to have a passing game that's basically going to be non-existent because when he's out there, they can't pass. You have a Texans team that's playing well. So I don't know. I don't know how to feel about this one. I'm going to go on a ledge here. I picked the Titans originally. I just changed my mind. If this is the difference between me having 10 wins this week and not having 10 wins, it's going to be rough. But I'm going to take Houston. Give me Houston. Got to take chances in life, right? Give me Houston 24-21 game winner. Houston wins it on the road. I'll take the Texans. Over/under set at 35.5. Take the over. I wouldn't recommend it, but I'm taking the over. Taking a chance here. I'm taking Houston +3 and the win at home against Tennessee. Here we go. Let's go Texans. That's all I want to see. Next up, you got the Niners and the Commanders. Niners 10-4. Commanders 7-6-1. Niners 6.5-point favorites. The over/under set at 37.5. 4:05 p.m. Eastern on CBS. I'm going to take the Niners. Tough loss last week for Washington. As much as there's that possibility of them coming out hot, Niners have rallied around Brock Purdy. They're playing good football. They're just a better team right now. Another very hot team. Give me the Niners at home here. 27-17. I'll take the Niners. Over on the over/under 37.5. Give me the Niners and covering the 6.5. 4:25 p.m. Eastern on Fox. You got a little Minshew mania versus Dak Prescott. Cowboys, Eagles, massive NFC East matchup here. Cowboys 4.5-point favorites. The over/under set at 47. Eagles 13-1. Cowboys 10-4. I'm going to take the Cowboys. I know a lot of people are riding on the Minshew mania train. Cowboys barely beat Houston, lost to Jacksonville, so they seem to be struggling a little bit. But I'm going to take the Dallas Cowboys here at home against Gardner Minshew. Give me Dak and the Cowboys at home. 31-24. They'll get the win. It'll be close, but they'll get the win. They'll cover the 4.5. Give me the Cowboys at home. Over on the over/under 47. Cowboys get the win. And finally here, 8:15 p.m. Eastern, NFL Network. Steelers, Raiders, both teams 6-8. Steelers a small 1.5-point favorite. Over/under set at 38. Obviously, this game, the Immaculate Reception game a couple days ago as well. Franco Harris actually passed away. So a legendary player for the Steelers, a legendary ambassador and figure in the NFL. Obviously, obviously send well wishes to him, to his family. Terrible to hear that news, especially a couple days prior to the Immaculate Reception game here on Christmas Eve. This is going to be an interesting game. It will be. As much as Saturday night, Christmas Eve, Steelers, Heinz Field. I know it's not called Heinz Field, but I still call it Heinz Field. Heinz Field, Pittsburgh, like crazy, the terrible towels. As much as I envision that, I say to myself, Steelers are going to win this game. I'm going to take the Raiders. I'm going to take the Raiders. As much as I wouldn't be shocked if the Steelers win, as much as I kind of picture the Steelers winning, I'm going to take the Raiders here to get their 7th win of the season. Derek Carr, Devontae Adams go in, play well. Give me Vegas on the road. I'll take the Raiders 23-20 actually. I'll take the under on the over-under of 30, over on the over-under of 38, and I'll take the Raiders plus 1.5. All right, now we move to the Christmas Day games. There's 3 of these, so we'll go through these here. Dolphins, Packers. Dolphins 8-6, Packers 6-8. Dolphins 3.5-point favorites. The over-under set at 50. 1 Eastern on Fox. A massive game here for Denver or for Green Bay. They got to go win out. What are we gonna see? Aaron Rodgers going into Miami, warm weather. It's gonna be interesting. I'm gonna take Miami here. I don't believe in the Packers. I don't, despite the win last week. I don't believe in them. I like Miami here. They're gonna be frustrated. They've really struggled recently. I'm gonna take the Dolphins here at home, Christmas Day. Give me Miami. 1 Eastern, Fox. I'll take the Dolphins 27-20. Dolphins will get the win. They'll cover the 3.5. They'll get the win under on the over-under of 50. Give me the Dolphins at home. Then you got the Broncos and the Rams. Broncos 4-10. Rams 4-10. Broncos 3-point favorites. Over-under set at 36.5. 4:30 p.m. Eastern on CBS. I'm going to take the Rams here. As much as Brett Rippon and the Broncos played, got the win, I'm going to take the Rams here. Baker Mayfield. Give me the Rams at home. They're back in LA. Warm weather. They looked bad last week on Monday Night Football, but they're back at home, back in warm weather. I know Russell Wilson's back, which the offense actually is worse under Russell Wilson. So I'm gonna take LA at home. Give me the Rams and Baker Mayfield. Low scoring game. 17-13 Rams win. Rams +3, under on the over-under 36.5. And the final game here before we get to the Giants and the Vikings, Bucks, Cardinals. Bucks 6-8, Cardinals 4-10. Bucks 7.5-point favorites. The over-under set at 40.5. 8:20 p.m. Eastern on NBC. I will take the Bucks here. Cardinals are a mess. Cliff Kingsbury very well might not have a job after this. He'll probably not have a job at the end of this year. I'll take the Bucks here on the road to get back on track and show that they at least want to win the NFC South, which right now it seems like nobody wants to win that division. So give me the Bucks here on the road. 27-14 Bucks win. I'll take the over on the over-under 40.5. Bucks get the win and cover the 7.5. Then we'll go to the Monday night game on Monday. We'll get you that there. All right, now time to get to the Giants-Vikings. Giants come into this game 8-5-1. Vikings come into this game 11-3. Vikings 4-point favorites. The over-under set at 48.5. 1 Eastern on Fox. As much as I feel like there's a good chance the Giants might actually win this game, it's a whiteout game for the Vikings. Not that means a ton, but it's going to be a big crowd. Christmas Eve. It will be interesting to see how the Giants respond. Big win against Washington. Do they come out with a lot of energy? Do they come out with a lot of tenacity, a lot of fight, a lot of energy? Or do they come out and struggle? Do they come out and kind of have a little bit of an emotional letdown after that big primetime win last week? So it will be interesting to see how they come out and play. If they come out fast, if they come out roaring ready to go, or if they come out and struggle and kind of have an emotional letdown after a massive win last week. I'm going to take the Vikings. As much as the Giants are playing good football, as much as they have kept games close, which I do believe this game is close. I don't think the Vikings cover here. I'm going to take the Giants. Vikings, the insane comeback last week. You also have to bring that into play, too. Do they have an emotional letdown? That's why this is an interesting game. Because you have a team coming off of a massive comeback win against Indy, 33-0, biggest comeback in NFL history, and you have a team that just beat Washington on the road, Sunday Night Football, to really give them, basically, they're on the launching, they're basically at the last step to the playoffs. How does each team respond? I'm going to take Minnesota at home here. Not easy, but I'll take Minnesota, and it's close. Give me the Vikings. By the way, 54% of people think Minnesota is going to win. So it's not that obvious. I'll take the Vikings here. 24-21. Late field goal wins it for Minnesota. I'll take the Vikings. They don't cover the 4, but they get the win. I'll take the Vikings. I'll take the under on the over-under 48.5. Give me the Vikings. All right, once again, my picks for the week. I got Bengals, Bills, Ravens, Vikings, Lions, Browns, Chiefs, Texans, Niners, Cowboys, Raiders, Dolphins, Rams, Bucks. We'll get you Colts, Chargers on Monday. And there you have it. There you have it. By the way, Nets, Bucks tonight. Big game, 7:30 p.m. Eastern at Barclays. Massive Friday night game there for the Nets. All right, now we get to fantasy football. I apologize if any of you started Bam Knight last night. He did nothing. And for those of you that may have started Zach Wilson, I don't know why you would do that. He did nothing either. By the way, quickly, game picks. I'm 138-87 right now with the correct pick last night, which I didn't want to be correct, but it is correct. So I enter the week 1-0 here on my game picks. Back to fantasy. So going to be an interesting week, obviously, right now. All 4 leagues hopefully rearing up, ready to go. I'm projected to win in 2 of my leagues. I'm projected to win. 1 of my leagues I'm not projected to win, and the other league I am 50-50 shot. So some possible options this week. David Montgomery in there against Buffalo. I could see them relying on the run in that cold weather. Same thing with Justin Fields there. I like Broncos defense against the Rams. I know I took the Rams, but I did take Broncos defense. I think, as I mentioned, it still might be an ugly game. With a guy like, there's not really too many things here to really put in here. Aaron Jones is questionable. So the possibility with him, if he was limited Thursday, if he's out, a guy like a David Montgomery could fill in. You could throw McLaurin at the flex, move Montgomery in there. You could also, Goddard's back this week, so he's a guy to keep an eye out for as well. Him and Darren Waller, if you have both those guys on your roster, in like a 8-man league where you might have been able to get both those guys, definitely an option there. Possible starts, you could, if you're in a league with Gabe Davis and possibly, I don't know, a guy like a David Montgomery and you have him at flex, I would definitely think about starting David Montgomery over Gabe Davis. I might actually do it, just because Gabe Davis he's been okay, but again, you really wonder how much they're going to be able to do in -8 degrees. The last couple weeks, though, he hasn't done a ton. 7, 9, 6, 9. So he hasn't done a ton the past couple weeks. He had that stretch where he had 4 of 6 weeks where he got double digits, and since that, he hasn't done much. Started off the year really hot. The last 4 weeks have not been very good. Thankfully, in week 13, he had a touchdown catch, which got him 9 points. If that wasn't the case, he would have only had about 4 points, about 3 points. So he's been struggling a little bit. I would definitely think about starting David Montgomery. I think this could be a big opportunity for him in that cold weather in Chicago. So we'll see. We'll see how it all plays out. Big weekend of fantasy football. Big weekend. And look forward to seeing how it all plays out. So that will do it for the podcast here today. I just want to say I wish you all a very Merry Christmas. Enjoy it with your family and friends. Enjoy all the sports are on that as well. Christmas Day should be exciting. You got 3 football games on. You got all the basketball games. It's exciting time of year. It's the season of giving. Sports are giving us a lot of action. So look out for all that stuff. Should be a lot of fun. Enjoy it with family and friends, whatever you do. And, I will see you all back here on the flip side, back here on Monday. Enjoy your Christmas. Wish you all a very happy, healthy, safe, very Merry Christmas, and I will see you all back here on Monday. Hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.